All right, everyone, welcome to the newest and latest build video for the TIV2 kit. This, hopefully when I ship them out in actual kits, they will be fully assembled. I think it's what I'm gonna do. But if you're broken something or replacement or something, if you're 3D printing it, this build video is perfect to get the entire works down of the TIV2. So we're just gonna go over some parts and we'll get in the building. All right, just to go over some of the parts. So this will just give you an idea about all you need to print or what you should have. So you should have one of the bodies, pretty self-explanatory. One of the underbodies, one chassis. These two go together for the airbags. 3 springs that go in here for the airbags. 2 of the airbag pins, including the airbag file. You want 2 spike holders, 2 spike bases, 1 for each side of the front flap. You want 2 of the longer rear axles and 1 of the shorter front axle. That way you have 3 axles for the 3 axles on TIV. You want 1 front window, 1 back window, and then you want 2 of each of the side windows. So that way you have it for either side. You obviously want a right and a left flap. You have your front flaps here, whether you want to assemble the 2025 version or like the more modern version or the older version. You also want your turret here. You can print it multicolor or in single color, or you can paint it later, whatever. And then you also want your back spikes or your rear flap. I'll show how to install both of them, but depending on which TIV you're building, that'll be like that. So for the mezzanet, the file is not included on Colts 3D. It is exclusive to my Discord. So if you go and link on Colts 3D, or I'll link it down below this video, you can join our Discord in the 3D print channel. There will be free files that were made belovedly by one of my members that you can download. There's instructions there on how to print those. Those take some different print settings, but they're pretty simple to print and they're pretty awesome. All right, so I couldn't fit these in frame, but you're also gonna need 4 of the rear inner wheels, 4 of the rear outer wheels, and 2 of the front wheels. So that'll be for all the wheels in our TIV. You're also gonna need some little 2x8 magnets. Saw them linked in the Colts 3D, but you can also just get on Amazon. They're pretty cheap. This is just for the 2009 TIV2 or the older one. So if you want to build the other one, don't worry about this. Also, the materials you're gonna need to supply yourself. You're gonna want some hot glue, nice hot glue gun. Super glue, this is old, so maybe use some newer, nicer super glue. Kind of doesn't really matter. You want some duct tape, preferably thinner. This is only if you're someone with the 2009 version. You can kind of ignore this if you're not doing that. And then you also want some Scotch tape, or you can use packaging tape. But this is a little bit simpler to find around your house, so you can use this. All right, so we're gonna start off with putting the windows on the TIV2 body. So to start, we're gonna take our front window here. You can see it fits right in their slot there. I'm gonna take some super glue. Don't mind the really crappy super glue, it's old, I got some more coming. But as you can see, we're just gonna put a nice, oh, that's way too much. But the idea, you just want to put a little bit, a nice amount there, and you're going to pop the window in place and make sure it's nice and pressed in. Now we're going to do the same thing for all the side windows. So you can take this side, pop it in, they should all pop in. Same thing with the back window. You're just going to go around the entire thing and super glue them in. All right, so now we have all of our windows in. You can see I put a little bit too much on that side, so be sure you don't get your fingers stuck to it or anything. We're gonna move on to our flaps now. So as you can see, I forgot to take the supports off of this one, but we're just gonna do the 2009 variant. So obviously if you're doing this, it's gonna be the same thing. But, so as you can see, we're gonna do a test fit on all of our flaps. Some tolerances may be different depending on your printer, but most likely, just so they're not too tight, they're probably going to be too loose for a lot of people's likings. So as you can see, I'm going to shake it and that front flap is going to fall out. These side flaps are actually pretty good on this model, so I think we can leave them be for now. But we're going to fix the tightness on our front flap by using some Scotch tape here. So I'm just going to take a really tiny amount, go off there, and we're going to take our little posts here. I'm going to be really careful not to break them. And we're just gonna wrap a little bit of Scotch tape around the post. We're gonna do the same for the other side here. Just like so. As you can see, they're nice and around there. If you put your flap back into your thing, as you can see, it's still a little loose, but it's a lot better than it was, and it'll still come out nicely. So if you need to do more Scotch tape, you can. Obviously, the side flaps seem to be good on this model. They're going to be different on every single one, so you might have to repeat the same thing on these little posts on the side flaps. All right, so we're going to set our tail aside for now. We're going to move on to our airbag system. So as you can see, this is the new and improved airbag system. It's much more durable and a lot more nicer looking, and it looks awesome. But to assemble it, as you can see, the front here kind of tapers down. So that's going to face forward on our TIV. So we're going to have these parts facing up. And we're going to take our chassis and put, the front part, the 2 axles in the rear, 2 axles in the front, and we're going to put them together just like so and make sure they push all the way through. Then we're going to take our springs here. As you can see, we have this little flat tongue on the bottom, and we're going to take that and insert with that tongue down. We're going to push it into the slot like so. We're going to press forward and then press down on there to get it fit in there. So we're going to repeat, go the other way. You can see where the notch is there, where that fits. We're just going to repeat the same thing, press it in, and we're also just going to press it in just like so. We're going to pull them out. As you can see, they will click into place, and we have our little pins here that stop it from going too high. You might, I think you're going to include like 4 tolerances on the file, so you might have to print a few different ones because they fit differently, but I think this is the one that fit best. You can see they slide right in. They should fit pretty nicely, and that will keep our ride height correct when we're deploying. And you can see we have our airbags. They're going to press up. You can pull them back out. They won't go down on you, and you can press down firmly, pull them out, and they should work perfect. All right, so next we are going to work on our wheels and stuff for TIV. So we're gonna start with our rear axle. So you wanna grab the 2 longer axles here. And we're just gonna insert them into rear here. We're gonna take our rear inner wheel, put it in. Same thing with our other one. Put it in, they should fit in nicely. You can also take your other ones, put them on, and they should get a nice fit. Now, if they're looser, or you just want to keep them on before they fall off, you can take some glue. You want to put just a very little bit on the axle there, just like so. And then you can fit your outer wheel over that. That way it's like never going to fall off. It'll be nice and secure. So we're going to repeat that with the other side and then with this axle right here. All right, so now we have our rear axles on. We can make sure they are spinning freely. As you can see, they should be spinning nice. Should roll. So now we're going to move to our front axle here. So we're going to take front axle, put it in, and we can put our wheels over. And they should still have a nice press fit, like so. All right, now we're going to move back on to our body. So we're going to have our magnets here. And we're going to take 4 magnets. This is my preferred amount. So you get 4 little magnets there. And we're just going to, this is only applies if you're doing the 2009 or 2011 or whatever, the older version. And you're just going to give a little tiny bit of hot glue, or you can put super glue in there too, like hot glue. And you're just going to glue these magnets in. So just like that, make sure they're pressed all the way in. They should fit in there just like that. All right, so this is also if you're just doing the, older version. If you want to skip forward a little bit, I'll have the installation for the rear spikes. But for now, I'll show this. So once you have your magnets in, as we just showed before, you're going to want to grab your back flap, and you grab another 1 little magnet here. Now to start, we're going to check the polarity. So as you can see, it is facing this way. So we want to make sure we keep it the same direction and put on our flap. And we're just going to make sure our flap stays right there. So as you can see, that's polarity 1. So we're just gonna take the tiniest amount of hot glue or super glue you can choose. We're gonna put it on there, making sure our magnet stays the same direction. I'm going to place it on there. Hot glue is a little bit messy, so if you want super glue to make it look a little bit cleaner, you got to. This is gonna get covered up though. And we're just gonna make sure our magnet fits nicely right there in the center. You can also put it back on our thing just to make sure. As you can see, it fits quite nice. So now we're gonna go to the bottom to make our hinge. So if you have like a metal hinge, you can use it, but it's expensive to buy those and they're kind of hard to mess with. So I like using some nice thin dollar store duct tape. So we're gonna take some duct tape, just tear it. We're gonna get, you can use some scissors if you wanna make it look a little bit cleaner, but we're just gonna get a nice hinge looking piece there. I'm gonna put it and tape it over our magnet like so. And then wrap it around while it's still up and attached. Wrap it around over those magnets, keeping them in and down into the body, just like so. That will give us a really nice hinge that if you get, you might have to fill with it a little bit, but it should stick in place and then come back up and then, yeah. So if you're on the ground, you can deploy it, go back up. It works pretty nice. If you have, like I said, if you have metal hinges, you can use that. But yeah, so do that. Now I'm going to show you how to install the rear spikes on our newer version of the TIV2. So we're just going to do a little test fit here. So put the spikes on like so. They should fit right into about there. Might have to fiddle with it a bit. Right about there. There we go. And as you can see, the little top part is clipped over and it's on. So now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take a little bit of hot glue, put it on that top put down frame so you can see, put it on that top part up there. And we're also gonna put a little bit right above where the TIV lettering would be. So as you can see, we'll bring it down over. I'll flip it over so you can see better. And we're just gonna attach it like so onto our body. So make sure everything's fitting. And then that'll just keep us temporarily in place. So then we're gonna take our glue and just run a few little beads down in here. It doesn't need to be too much. There's not gonna be a lot of force put on these. And you're just gonna make sure that everything sits, that glue is hot glue, you know. Make sure everything sits nicely seated in, and then you can rotate it a little bit, push your border backwards, and get the stringing off. I got glue on my hands, but as you can see, it leaves you a pretty nice looking finish on the back spikes. All right, so now I've showed you how to put on the different parts of the body. We're gonna take the kit here. So we have our body and now our underbody. And we're just gonna place it over and check the fitment. So as you can see, we're just gonna kind of place it in there. You can make sure that all these little holes are lined up for the pistons there, or whatever you wanna call them. Hydraulics for the flap. And once it's sitting nice and level, you can verify, because it might rock back and forth a bit. You can verify by looking back there and making sure everything looks straight back there. Once you verify that, you're going to take a little bit of glue and you're just going to tack it in. That way, if you need to replace a spring or something, you can take it out. So we're just going to put a little bit of glue right there. Put a little bit of glue right there. Oh, I totally missed the edge. There we go. We're going to put a little bit of glue right here below the front axle. Same thing on the other side. We're going to put a drop of glue back here behind the rear axles. So again, you can adjust everything. Things might shift while you were moving around, putting glue in. And once everything is level, you're just going to set it down on its back and let it dry. While we're waiting for this to dry, we can set it aside. We can move on to our So we have our little inner and outer spikes. And as you can see, we can just take this, we can insert it in there like so, and you can push it up. It's gonna be a tight fit because I kind of want to make it to where there's no glue. And do the same thing with the other side. Now, if it gets stuck like this one is, so as you can see, it's not getting to the top part, take it, make sure it's extremely straight. Just gonna push straight down and then kind of adjust it, and then you have your little multicolor front spikes. Now, see, I am at my new office and I kind of forgot to bring toothpicks to do the build video. So you can just take your own toothpicks. I'll probably include some in the kit, but it's pretty easy. You just cut the tops, you can insert them in. If you've seen my videos, you know how to use a spike tool. You can, figure out how to do that. Spike tool's over there. I think that's pretty self-explanatory on how to put that together. But if you don't know, you can go look at some of my deployment videos. Here's a spike tool for reference. I went over and grabbed one. But as you can see, you would just push the toothpicks through there. That would be your spikes. See my videos, you probably know what I'm talking about. So yeah. All right, so I think by now our body here should be dry. As you touch the glue here, make sure everything feels solid. And as you can see, it should, that flap's still a little bit loose. You can put it down, put the flaps down, check it out. Everything should look pretty nice. So now we're going to move on to our side spikes. So I personally like using super glue for these, but you can use hot glue too. Super glue looks a little bit cleaner. But our spikes will sit, you're gonna place them where this lip right here is, right below there. It's sitting right in front of the edge of the door for the front window. So we're gonna take our super glue here. Be careful with it, because this is really thin. And we're just gonna put the smallest little tiny amount, we can kind of spread it out with the end there, on our spike here. You can see we just got a nice little glaze on there almost. I got a little bit on my finger. I'm gonna take it, verify where we're putting it, and we're gonna set it down just like so. You can make sure it's even, but as you can see, that looks pretty good right there. Just gives a nice little press. It looks pretty nice and parallel, or perpendicular I should say, how it flaps thing. So it looks good. As you can see, it's above the window. It will come down, and then we are going to repeat that with the other side. So now that our spikes are fully dried, you can put your spikes in, or if you have re-spikes, you can put them in. So you can see it's looking pretty good, but we're missing one pretty important thing, which is our turret, which we're going to leave that off so you can put it on the back side. But now that's done, you just take your turret, you're going to clip the front in just like so. You're going to push the back just a tad, and it should clip right in. It won't come out, and you can rotate it around. It has a little bit more friction in these places, just so that way if the wind hits, it won't completely turn. It'll stop, and then if you want to turn it around, it'll stay there, but you can also still turn it a full 360 degrees. All right, so one last thing here is our mezzanet pieces. Put a little camera here. So on the Discord, it explains what print settings, how to print this, but one thing I like to do is put a little piece of marker there for the camera on the older TIV. But Symbolese, you have your little pipe here. It glows, or whatever it's called. I think it's like a mezzanet pipe, manometer pipe, whatever they call it. Put in that little slot there. Should kind of clip in nicely. Camera will go on this lower thing right here, and the actual manometer itself will go on top, just like that. And 2025 one, or the modern one, is pretty simple. You just slide the no glue required on these, just like that. Now, if you're putting it on TIV, these have a nice little tight fit, so I recommend taking an X-Acto knife and maybe trimming this a bit if it doesn't fit. Depends on your printer. I already trimmed these, but they should just pop on to this little hole back here and have a nice fit on, and your TIV is now completely done. And then you can also do the same thing for this one. So now that your TIV is done, you can do a little test deployment. So make sure that you're undeployed. And you're gonna put your airbags down, just like so. Your back flap might go down, depending on how you did your magnets and their strength. Also add more magnets if you want more strength. You got your side flap, so you should go down both sides. Your front flap should go down like so. And you have one nice deployable TIV 2. Now, one thing I do warn is that if you're intercepting, this top piece here is really fragile since it's meant to look scale. So if you're ever intercepting and it rolls, this will break. Or the wind, if something hits it, like a leaf, this will break. So I recommend for intercepts, taking this off. Obviously in my videos I do it because I can just print like an infinite amount of these if I do break them. But I recommend taking these off since you probably don't want to print another one. But if you do, you can leave it on, but not really my fault if it snaps into a million pieces when it goes flying. But hopefully this is a pretty strong interceptor, so it won't go flying. All right, thank you guys for watching. I hope this build video was helpful. But as you can see, I also built a 2025 TIV, or the newer TIV with the rear spikes, and the nicer flap. But everything you see here is included in the Colts 3D, except for the mezzenets, of course, in the Discord, link in the description, or on Colts 3D. So yeah, we'll just do a nice little test deployment real quick on both of these. Oh yeah, looking great. And as you can see, they both look really nice. I hope this build video was helpful. And if you have anything, I probably won't see a message on Colts 3D, but you can comment, do whatever. Let me know what you think. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.